It started slow. Just small mentions that didn't mean much at first. A song on the radio she said Ryan used to love. A movie he would have enjoyed. Then a memory about how he used to make her feel special. I told myself it was harmless. Everyone has a past. But soon, his name began to fill the spaces where ours used to live. Every conversation seemed to orbit around him. She compared the way he talked, dressed, even how he smiled. I laughed it off, pretending it didn't sting. But inside, something twisted each time. The distance grew. Laura started going out more, staying out late. Brunches turned into long afternoons. Afternoons turned into nights away. Her phone was always face down now. Screen lighting up, her eyes darting away. When I asked, she said I was paranoid. She said she needed freedom. She said I was boring. I was 31, not ancient. I liked quiet nights and real sleep, not neon bars and strangers, laughter. She wanted noise. She wanted excitement. I watched her dress like she was 23 again. Short skirts, high heels, perfume that didn't belong to our kitchen mornings. Our bed turned into a cold border between us. She'd roll to the edge, wrapped in a hoodie, pretending to be asleep. I'd reach for her, but she gave me that polite pat. Like a coworker saying good job. No warmth. No spark. Just distance measured in inches. She stopped asking about my day. Stopped caring about the little things. Started guarding her phone like it held her heartbeat. And maybe it did. I stopped arguing. Instead, I paid attention. Patterns are louder than words. She'd smile at her phone, type fast, then lock the screen. Sometimes she'd laugh to herself, that small secret laugh. When I walked in, the smile vanished. The air turned stiff, like the room knew something I didn't. I cleaned up the cloud storage one night. Her photos were there, hundreds of them. Trips, dinners, mirror selfies. And Ryan. Always Ryan. His hand on her waist, his shadow behind her. When I asked why she still kept them, she said she hadn't had time to delete. For memories, she said. I nodded and closed the app. A red flag planted quietly in my head. After that, every detail mattered. Every late text. Every half smile. The house grew quieter. Even the walls seemed to listen. I started to sleep lighter. Sometimes I'd wake and find her scrolling in the dark. When I asked what she was doing, she said nothing. Always nothing. I began to feel invisible. Like I was fatting out of my own marriage. And somewhere between her laughter and my silence, I realized love can end without a single goodbye. It happened on a Tuesday night. She said she had yoga class and left at 7. The house felt too quiet, too staged. I was folding laundry when I heard a chime from the kitchen. Her iPad lit up. The name on the screen was just R. 3 messages appeared, one after another. Missed that video from last week. You free after he leaves. Same hotel. My stomach dropped, but my hands stayed still. The room felt colder. I tapped the power button and the light vanished. I knew what I saw. No guesses, no excuses. Just facts glowing on a screen. I didn't confront her. I took the trash out, checked the time, and memorized everything. Every sound, every minute, every clue. At 9:17 p.m., she was still gone. The code on her iPad was the same as always. Old house number. 4 digits that opened the truth. My fingers moved before my brain could stop them. The screen unlocked, and there it was. Her entire secret life. Messages, photos, receipts, hotel confirmations. Videos too. Angles no one uses, unless they're trying to hide something. My breath went shallow. I took photos of the screen with my phone. No syncing, no cloud, just proof. I exported everything and sent it to a hidden email. Then I sat there, staring at the wall until I heard her keys at the door. She walked in smiling, kissed my head, and said she was tired. I nodded like nothing was wrong. That night I barely slept. In the morning, I tested her. "What's the iPad code again?" She laughed. "Same as always." And that was enough. 3 days passed. I didn't speak. I gathered evidence quietly. Hotel bookings, Uber rides, bank transactions. Even her messages calling him baby. Every detail became a piece of a puzzle I never asked to build. I named the folder Insurance. Because that's what it was. Insurance against lies, against gaslighting, against losing everything. She thought she was clever, but timestamps don't lie. I recorded every date, every charge, every receipt. She spent more on him than I earned in months. I didn't get angry. I got organized. While she texted, "Good night" to another man, I was labeling files and taking screenshots. By the 4th night, I had everything I needed. I knew her pattern, her schedule, her secrets. And I knew one thing for sure. She didn't love me anymore. Whatever we had was already dead. Buried under passwords and hotel sheets. The only thing left for me to do was decide how to end it, quietly, cleanly, and without a single word of warning. 2 weeks later, she said she had news. We sat at the kitchen table, and she smiled like it was a movie scene. "I'm pregnant," she said softly. The words didn't land right. We always used protection. We had agreed to wait a few more years. I just stared at her. "How?" I asked. She shrugged. "Some things are meant to happen." That line echoed in my head for hours. Physics doesn't work on fate. Fate doesn't cause pregnancy. Ryan did. I knew it the way you know a storm is coming before the sky turns dark. But I didn't argue. I said congratulations, hugged her, and went quiet. There's a switch in me that flips when emotions get too loud. It turns everything cold and mechanical. That night, while she slept, I planned. Not revenge. Just survival. The next morning, she left for work. I opened her phone, checked the contact list, and found him. Ryan. No last name. Just a letter R and a photo from a gym mirror. I stared at his number. Then I replaced it with mine. No hacking, no tricks, just numbers changed. Now, when she texted him, she'd be texting me. I waited. Hours later, I sent the first message. Pretending to be him. Got a situation, need a quiet favor. She replied quickly. What kind of favor? I typed, need to borrow 15, I'll pay it back Friday. She hesitated, then wrote, can't wire but I'll send it through the app. And she did. $15,000. Her credit card. My new account. The transfer came through. I moved the money instantly. Half to a lawyer. Half to a new bank. That money wasn't for revenge. It was for freedom. It was my exit fund. For days, I pretended nothing happened. She smiled like everything was normal. She kissed my cheek, cooked dinner, played the part. But she never noticed I had stopped looking at her the same way. Every time she texted him, she was texting me. Every time she smiled at her screen, I saw what was left of my marriage. I sent one last message from Ryan. Don't text me about the money. Then I archived the thread and deleted my tracks. I didn't gloat. I didn't tell her. I just watched her live inside a lie while I built my escape. When people lie, time keeps the score. And I made sure every second was documented. By the time she realized what was coming, I'd already paid the lawyer, closed the accounts, and written the last chapter of our marriage. One signature at a time. Saturday morning came quiet. She was making pancakes like nothing was wrong. I set her iPad on the counter and opened the messages. She froze. I looked at her and said, anything you want to tell me that isn't a lie. Her eyes flicked down, then up. No guilt. Just arrogance. It's not cheating, she said. I almost laughed. You sent him videos from our couch. She lifted her chin. Ryan told me he wanted me pregnant. He meant it. I had to say yes. For a moment, I thought she was joking. But she kept talking, voice rising like she was proud. He never dated anyone after me. I owe him. You'll never understand passion. I nodded slowly. So this was her truth. A fairy tale built on delusion and debt. Okay, I said. Then he gets the bill. I slid a folder across the counter. Inside were the divorce papers. Filed, stamped real. Her hands shook when she saw the date. I'd filed before she even knew what was happening. Temporary orders were active. Joint accounts closed. Credit cards frozen. Utilities moved out of my name. Everything labeled, logged, and verified. She tried to argue, but I wasn't listening. I'm not your husband anymore, I said. I'm the man signing you off the account. Her face changed. Anger first, then panic. You can't just walk away. You owe me stability. No, I said. I owe you nothing you didn't destroy. She said I was small, petty, insecure. She said the pregnancy made me responsible no matter what. I pointed at the document. Filed before birth. Paternity contested. Ask your lawyer what rebuttable means. Her mouth opened but no sound came. I showed her the receipts, the timelines, the hotel charges. All printed. All dated. All ready for court. She tried to grab them. I pulled them back. Not stories, I said, proof. She called me heartless. I called her reckless. The truth didn't need emotion. It needed paper. I kept my voice calm. This isn't a fight, I told her. It's procedure. I explained each step, like a mechanic reading a manual. Truck title mine. Tools mine. Furniture hers. Debt hers too. Especially the $15,000 she sent to her lover. She started crying. It didn't move me. You wanted passion, I said. Now you can live with the consequences. She called me a coward. I called her a liar. She slammed the door on her way out, shouting something about destiny. I stood there in silence, listening to the sound fade. When the house finally went quiet, I exhaled. It wasn't triumph. It was relief. Because I knew in that silence, my marriage was officially over. Not with a scream, but with a signature. Ryan disappeared the moment reality showed up. The man who talked about destiny couldn't handle a due date. His text stopped. His number changed. He was gone before the doctor even confirmed the pregnancy. Laura called him nonstop. No answer. She messaged him, begged him, threatened him. Silence. I wasn't surprised. Men like him vanish when the fantasy turns into bills and diapers. She cried in the bathroom, mascara streaked, whispering he'd come back. He didn't. I watched her crumble from a distance. Not with joy, but with finality. She had chosen him over everything. Now she had nothing. $80,000 in debt. A baby on the way. And no one to blame but herself. She tried to come back 2 weeks later. Suitcase in hand, speech rehearsed. She said she couldn't live with her family. They demanded accountability. I opened the door, just enough to see her face. Temporary orders say you can't be here, I said. She begged, said I was her only stability. Said I was still her husband in God's eyes. I pointed at the folder on the table. Court documents. Case number. Restraining order pending. You have a lawyer, I said. Use her. Then I closed the door. She screamed, cursed, hit the door with her fist. It didn't matter. The lock held. Days later, she came again. This time, my girlfriend Sarah was with me. We were sorting tools in the garage, quiet, calm. Laura started banging on the front door, yelling my name. Then she shouted at Sarah, calling her a homewrecker. Sarah didn't move. She stood in the hallway where the camera could see her. I called 911. My voice was steady. Domestic disturbance. Ex-spouse violating a court order. Dispatch stayed on the line. Laura tried the side gate, found the fake rock key, and hit the glass when it failed. The window didn't break. The police arrived in under 7 minutes. 2 officers. Body cams on. They separated us. She claimed she still lived here. I showed the court order. One officer read the line aloud, exclusive possession granted to me. She tried to push past them to get inside. That turned trespass into attempted assault. They cuffed her. Quietly. No shouting, no drama. They handed me the report number like a receipt. I saved it in my folder labeled Access Control. On Monday, I filed for a restraining order. It was granted. 1 year. No calls, no visits, no messages. When she left the courtroom, she didn't look back. Ryan stayed missing. Her debts kept growing. And for the first time in months, the house finally felt alive again. Because it was mine, and it was peaceful. Months passed. The silence that once felt heavy became peaceful. I fixed the porch light, cleaned the garage, and learned to sleep again. No arguments, no secrets, no half-truths hiding in the glow of a screen. I started seeing Sarah more often. She was steady, calm, and spoke with purpose. She didn't ask about Laura. She didn't need to. She saw the scars in the way I organized everything by label and date. One night, we sat in the garage sorting tools by size. She asked what I wanted now. I said, nothing complicated, just quiet that stays quiet. She smiled and said, that sounds like peace. For the first time in years, I believed it could exist. Then came the paternity results. A white envelope, official seal, my name typed neatly. Not my child. Just words on paper, but they hit harder than any punch. Relief, cold and clean, ran through me like air after a storm. I didn't celebrate. I just stood there and let the truth settle. The lawyer called it closure. I called it freedom. Laura didn't show up to the final hearing. Her attorney said she'd moved out of state. Unreachable, untraceable, same as the man she chose. The court finalized the divorce that day. I kept the house, the truck, the tools, the credit, and my name. Everything I built before her stayed intact. I drove home in silence, parked in the driveway, and sat there a while. No music. No thoughts, just the sound of nothing breaking. Inside, Sarah had cooked dinner. She didn't ask how court went. She just said, "You look lighter." I nodded. Maybe I finally am. That night, I cleaned out the last box from the closet. Old photos, wedding cards, little reminders of a life that no longer existed. I didn't burn them. I just placed them in a bag, sealed it, and left it in the attic. Not out of nostalgia. Out of completion. Everything has its place. Even endings. A week later, I took Sarah out for a drive. Windows down, no destination. The air felt different, like it belonged to me again. She reached over, rested her hand on mine, and said nothing. That silence said enough. Peace isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. It just stays. Ryan's gone. Laura's gone. The debts, the lies, the noise, all gone. I didn't destroy them. I just turned off the power they had over me. People think revenge is about fireworks and shouting. It is. It's about cutting the wires before they explode. And when the lights finally go out, you stand there, calm and steady, watching the quiet take over what's yours again. The house is quiet now. No echoes of old arguments, no footsteps packing after midnight. Just peace and the hum of the refrigerator. I walk through each room and breathe like it's mine again. Every scar on the wall, every mark on the floor, tells a story I survived. I kept what mattered, my name, my calm, my dignity. Everything else was noise. Laura became a memory, filed away with receipts and timestamps. Ryan stayed a ghost in her choices. I never wanted revenge, only balance. And now it's even. The silence feels earned. Sarah still comes by sometimes. We cook, laugh, and don't talk about the past. There's no need. Peace doesn't need witnesses. It just needs space to stay. I used to think love was about promises. Now I know it's about boundaries. People lie, emotions fade, but paper doesn't. Proof lasts. And in the end, that's what saved me. It wasn't rage. It was precision. As Michael Corleone said, it's not personal. It's strictly business. And business is finally closed.